My family laughed when I inherited a useless pile of dirt, but now that they know what is buried underneath, they are suing me for millions. My grandmother left me a worthless plot of land while my cousins got millions in cash and assets. I thought I was the family charity case until I found what was hidden in the old garden shed, and now the entire family is at war. But before we dig into the betrayal, the lawsuit, and the secret that changed my life, if you love seeing entitled relatives get a massive reality check, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. You do not want to miss this justice. I'm writing this because I honestly feel like I'm living in a movie. To give you some context, I, 24F, come from a family that is obsessed with appearance and status. My dad passed away when I was 7, and ever since then, my mom and I have been the poor relations. We were never starving, but while my cousins were getting brand new convertibles for their 16th birthdays, I was working part-time at a diner to save up for a used Honda. My grandmother, Margaret, was the matriarch. She was a terrifyingly intelligent woman who built the family fortune alongside my grandfather. She was stern, secretive, and very wealthy. But she was also the only one who treated me like a human being rather than a mistake. While my cousins, Brad and Tiffany, spent their summers at expensive camps in Switzerland or partying in the Hamptons, I spent my summers at Margaret's estate. We would spend hours in her massive garden. She taught me everything about soil, plants, and patience. She used to tell me, Maya, never look at the surface of things. The real value is always in the roots. I didn't realize she was being literal until this week. Margaret passed away 3 months ago. The funeral was a nightmare. My Aunt Karen, Brad and Tiffany's mom, was the ringleader. She was crying loudly in the front row, but I had heard her on the phone the day before asking a contractor how quickly they could gut Margaret's vintage library to put in a home gym. It made me sick. I sat in the back with my mom, just trying to get through it. Then came the reading of the will. This is where it all started. We gathered in the lawyer's office, a stuffy room that smelled like old leather and greed. The tension was thick enough to choke on. Margaret's estate was valued at roughly $15 million. We all knew Karen, Brad, and Tiffany were expecting the world. And they got it. Brad was left $2 million in a trust and the collection of vintage luxury cars. Tiffany got $2 million and the entire jewelry collection. Aunt Karen got the main estate, the mansion, the grounds, everything, valued at around $8 million. Then the lawyer, Mr. Henderson, paused. He looked over his glasses at me. My heart sank. I expected nothing. To my granddaughter, Maya, Mr. Henderson read, who understands that the earth gives back what you put into it, I leave the plot of land in Osage County, known as the Brambles, and the contents of my garden shed located thereon. Silence filled the room for about 2 seconds before Brad snorted. Then Tiffany started giggling. The Brambles? Karen asked, a smirk curling on her lips. You mean that tick-infested patch of scrubland in the middle of nowhere? Good luck paying the property taxes on that dirt, Maya. The whole room erupted in laughter. My face burned. The Brambles was 40 acres of rocky, non-arable land about 3 hours north. It was the trash land of the family portfolio. It had been assessed at maybe $80,000 because you couldn't farm it and it was too uneven to build a subdivision on. I didn't say a word. I signed the papers, took the deed, and walked out with my mom. I told myself it didn't matter. I loved Grandma, and if she wanted me to have a place to camp and hike, I would cherish it. 2 weeks ago, I finally drove out to the Brambles to inspect my inheritance. It was exactly as I remembered, overgrown, wild, and quiet. There was a small, dilapidated shack near the tree line that we called the garden shed. I unlocked the rusted padlock. Inside, it smelled of dust and dried sage. It was filled with old clay pots and rusted shovels. I felt a pang of sadness. Was this really it? Just a pile of junk? I started cleaning up, moving boxes aside. In the back corner, hidden under a moth-eaten tarp, was a heavy iron safe. My heart skipped a beat. I remembered this safe. Grandma had made me memorize a sequence of numbers when I was 10. I tried the combination. Click. 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 Thunk. The heavy door creaked open. I expected to see maybe some cash or old photos. But the safe was almost empty, except for a thick, leather-bound journal and a stack of scientific reports in a blue folder. I sat on the dusty floor and opened the folder. The top document was a geological survey dated 1995. I started reading, and my hands began to shake. The land isn't just dirt. The bramble sits directly on top of a massive, incredibly pure deposit of lithium. For those who don't know, lithium is essential for EV batteries. This deposit is a gold mine. The journal explained that Grandma kept it a secret because she knew her children would sell it immediately to a mining conglomerate that would destroy the environment. She wanted to wait until sustainable extraction technology was viable. She left it to me because she trusted me to handle it. I did my due diligence immediately. I contacted a surveyor quietly. Preliminary estimates value the mining rights at upwards of $40 million. Here is where I might have messed up. I updated my social media status to say excited for new opportunities with a picture of the view from the brambles. Brad, being nosy, drove out there to mock me. He saw the survey markers. He saw the company truck of a major mining tech firm I was consulting with. He did some digging. Yesterday, I got a call from Aunt Karen. She screamed, "You deceitful little brat. You stole our inheritance." They found out. Now, they are claiming that Margaret was senile when she wrote the will and that she didn't know the value of the land. They are suing me. They want the land. I'm sitting here with a lawyer who says we have a solid case, but my family is blowing up my phone. Update 1. Things have escalated significantly. My mom begged me to hear Aunt Karen out to keep the peace. I agreed to meet them at a neutral location with my lawyer present. Karen, Brad, and Tiffany showed up. They didn't bring a lawyer. They brought tears. Karen started crying immediately, saying, "Maya, we're family. Margaret wanted us to take care of each other." Brad was more aggressive. He said, "You tricked Grandma. You knew about the lithium." My lawyer, David, shut them down. He placed a copy of the geology report on the table, the one dated 1995. Margaret knew about this deposit 30 years ago, David said. She specifically carved this land out for Maya. If she wanted you to have it, she would have given it to you. Karen's face went from sad to demonic in a split second. She swept her coffee cup off the table. "This isn't over. I will bury you in legal fees until you're begging for change." They stormed out. But that wasn't the worst part. 2 nights ago, the security cameras I installed at the Brambles caught a truck trying to ram the gate. It was Brad's truck. He and a buddy got out with bolt cutters. They didn't get far. The private security guard I hired, a massive guy named Tiny, stepped out of the shadows. I watched the footage. Brad practically wet himself. They scrambled back into the truck and peeled off. We filed a police report for attempted trespassing. While my lawyer handles the restraining orders, I went through the rest of the garden shed items. I found a taped-up envelope taped to the bottom of a toolbox. It was addressed to be read only if Karen challenges the will. Chills. Literal chills. I opened it. It's a handwritten letter from Margaret, dated 6 months before she died. In it, she details exactly why she didn't leave the land to Karen. She writes, "I know Karen has been borrowing money from my accounts without asking. I know Brad has gambling debts. If I leave them the land, they will sell it for pennies on the dollar. Maya is the only one who respects the earth. If you are reading this, Karen is trying to take what isn't hers. Use the attached bank statements as leverage." Attached were photocopies of bank transfers showing Karen had siphoned nearly $200,000 from Margaret's accounts. This isn't just a defense for the will, this is evidence of elder financial abuse. Update 2. Karen actually went through with the lawsuit. She claimed undue influence. Basically saying I brainwashed my grandma. Yesterday was the deposition. Karen sat opposite me. Her lawyer kept asking if I manipulated Margaret. I stayed calm and said no. Then, it was my lawyer's turn. David asked Karen, "Did you ever withdraw funds from your mother's accounts for personal use?" Karen said, "Absolutely not." David pulled out the file. He slid a piece of paper across the table. It was a transfer for $15,000 to a casino in Las Vegas, signed by Karen. David said, "We have records of $200,000 in unauthorized transfers." Margaret knew. She wrote this letter explaining that her silence on your theft was your inheritance. But since you decided to sue, she authorized us to release this. Karen's lawyer snatched the paper. He looked at Karen, then back at the paper. He called for a recess immediately. We could hear them screaming in the hallway. 10 minutes later, they came back. Her lawyer said, "We are willing to drop the lawsuit if Maya agrees not to press criminal charges." I told them, "I want a full release of all claims. I want a public apology. And I want Brad to pay for the gate he damaged." They signed the settlement agreement this morning. Final update. It's over. But it ended with a bang. 3 nights after the settlement, I was at my apartment. It was 2 a.m. I heard glass shatter. I locked myself in the bathroom and called 911. I heard someone shouting my name. It was Brad. He was drunk and screaming, "Give me the deed. You ruined my life." The police arrived in under 4 minutes. I heard a taser deploy, and then silence. When I came out, Brad was in cuffs. He was crying, blubbering about how the guys are going to break my legs if I don't pay. It turns out, Brad had racked up nearly $500,000 in illegal gambling debts. That's why Karen was stealing from Grandma, to cover for him. That's why they were so desperate for the land. They were in deep trouble with loan sharks. Brad was charged with breaking and entering and attempted assault. He was denied bail. Karen is facing her own nightmare. Because the lawsuit made the bank records public, the state prosecutor picked up the case of elder financial abuse. She is looking at 5 to 10 years in prison. As for me? I sold the mining rights. I didn't sell the land itself. I leased the subsurface mineral rights to a sustainable tech company for a signing bonus of $8 million, plus royalties. I put a clause in the contract: the surface forest cannot be destroyed. I paid off my mom's mortgage. She retired last week. I also set up a trust fund for Tiffany, the only cousin who didn't attack me. She's going to nursing school, and I'm paying for it. My family called me the dirt farmer. They laughed at my inheritance. Now, the dirt has set me up for life, and their greed has cost them their freedom. Margaret, if you can hear me, thank you. You played the long game, and you won.